Inflammation is a natural part of the body's immune response and serves an important role in healing injuries and fighting off foreign invaders such as chemicals and microorganisms. Sometimes it can persist for weeks, months, or years, even when no threat is present. This is known as chronic inflammation. Unfortunately, chronic inflammation has been linked to some of the world's most deadly diseases, including heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. With that said, scientists have learned that our diet and the foods that we put into our body plays a major role in increased inflammation over time. In fact, several of the common foods that we eat on a daily basis are culprits that cause increased levels of inflammation in the body. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about in this video. Be sure to watch until the end because there's one food that I think will surprise you. So, if you're ready, let's get into it. Just a quick reminder, we are not doctors, this video is for informational purposes only. But of course, the first food that we need to talk about is sugar. You probably know that eating too much sugar is not a good thing because it can cause cavities and diabetes. You should know that sugar is also linked to increased levels of inflammation in the body as well. In fact, studies found that a high sugar intake contributes to many of the chronic diseases and public health that affect a large portion of the population. That is because when you regularly consume a high sugar diet, your body may start responding normally to the spikes in blood sugar. This results in insulin resistance, which activates inflammatory pathways. So whether you're eating candy all day or loading up on carbs, the glucose from these foods is converted into fatty acids by the liver. High concentrations of these fatty acids also trigger inflammatory responses in the body. Another culprit known for increasing inflammation is vegetable oil. People tend to think that vegetable oil is a healthy alternative to butter. With that said, the fats in vegetable oil are mostly unsaturated, so this is partially true. But vegetable oil isn't exactly healthy. Studies have shown that the unsaturated fats in vegetable oil tend to oxidize when people heat them. When oxidized, they become dangerous and can cause inflammation in our body tissues. This contributes to problems in the heart and other body systems. Therefore, choosing between vegetable oil and butter is basically the same as trying to pick the lesser of two evils. Next up on our list is milk. In previous decades, milk was promoted as a superfood that should be included as a staple in the diet of every health-conscious individual. However, over recent years, the medical community at large has reversed its position on the health advantages of dairy products. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine points out that dairy products are one of the most prolific sources of saturated fat in the American diet, and saturated fat is associated with heart disease, diabetes, and other chronic conditions. Experts have also linked dairy products to an increased risk of certain types of cancer as well. We just briefly mentioned it, but saturated fats are also known for causing inflammation and contributing to an increased risk of several chronic diseases. It has been well documented that saturated fats are known to increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. With that said, they have also been shown to short-circuit immune cells, which can trigger an inappropriate inflammatory response. This is why we should all strive to consume less saturated fats in our diet. On a similar note, foods that are high in trans fats are also known for causing inflammation. Trans fat is a type of unsaturated fat that is found in beef, dairy products, and many of the most common processed foods that we eat. Of all the different types of fat, trans fat is known to be the most harmful for your health. I mean, it should be telling that the FDA requires nutrition labels to list trans fats so that consumers are aware before they make a food or beverage purchase. Studies found that the consumption of trans fats results in increased inflammatory markers. This is especially true in people who fall into the obese category due to excess body fat. Next up on our list is monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG. MSG is a controversial food additive and flavor enhancer. Studies have shown that the consumption of MSG is linked to higher obesity, insulin resistance, and increased inflammation in the body. Not to mention, MSG has been shown to have other negative health effects such as oxidative stress, neurotoxicity, and allergic reactions. Consuming refined carbohydrates is another cause of inflammation that we need to discuss. Refined carbohydrates are basically sugar in disguise. They've been stripped of fiber and most other nutrients, making them high-calorie foods with low nutritional density. Because of this, refined carbs can cause your blood sugar to spike, leading to an insulin resistance. Studies found that people who eat a lot of refined carbohydrates tend to have increased levels of inflammatory markers. With that said, I'm not suggesting that you completely remove carbohydrates from your diet altogether. However, we can all try to swap out the refined carbs for whole grains instead, which takes longer to digest and feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Next up on our list is alcoholic beverages. It's no secret that the booze industry is booming in the United States. Each and every year, alcohol sales rake in more than $70 billion in tax revenue. Despite this astonishing amount, it is often forgotten that the consumption of alcohol is associated with all kinds of health problems, including chronic inflammation. Research has shown that heavy alcohol use over time can lead to cardiomyopathy, irregular heartbeats, stroke, high blood pressure, fatty liver, alcoholic hepatitis, cirrhosis, and several types of cancer. Additionally, alcohol consumption interferes with communication pathways in the brain. In order to avoid the negative effects of alcohol consumption, adults should strive to limit their intake to just 1 to 2 drinks per day. Another food that we need to discuss is processed meat. Processed meats such as cured bacon, sausages, hot dogs, lunch meat, and jerky have all been altered to improve their flavor and lengthen their shelf life. Even though they may taste great, processed meats are loaded with salt and saturated fat, which are known to increase inflammation in the body. In fact, several studies have found a link between processed meats and many chronic diseases. It is believed that inflammation is the biggest reason why. Artificial sweeteners are also known contributors to increased inflammation, and this often comes as a surprise to most people. You may have already swapped processed sugar for artificial sweeteners as a way to be healthier and consume fewer calories. This makes sense, right? Consuming less calories should equate to weight loss. Unfortunately, studies found that the opposite seems to be true. Artificial sweeteners actually negatively affect our taste buds, which stimulates an increased appetite and causes overeating to occur. This contributes to weight gain and increased inflammation, which, in turn, increases the risk of hypertension, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. The most common culprits that should be avoided include sucralose, saccharin, and aspartame. Instead, you can opt for natural sweeteners such as honey, maple syrup, or agave nectar. Just be sure to do so in moderation. So just to give a quick recap, here are 10 of the most common foods known for causing inflammation in the body that we can all strive to eat less of on a daily basis. We have sugar, vegetable oil, milk, saturated and trans fats, MSG, refined carbohydrates, alcoholic beverages, processed meat, and artificial sweeteners. Real quick guys, do me a huge favor and hit the like button. It really helps support the channel and I greatly appreciate it. And while you're down there, go ahead and click the subscribe button as well, because we have a ton of other videos on our channel that I think you will enjoy. Millions of people around the world are looking for natural ways to improve their diet and reduce inflammation. Hopefully the information that you learned in this video can help you do just that. With that said, keep in mind that we are not doctors and this video should not be taken as medical advice. Again, this video is for informational purposes only. But hopefully you learned a thing or two, and hopefully you're now one step closer to improving your overall health and thus improving the overall quality of your life. If so, be sure to let us know down in the comment section below. And if you want to learn even more about this topic, we do have a full guide on our website. I'll drop a link to it right below this video down in the description. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have a blessed day, and as always, breathe easy, my friend.